Hello everyone. So for today we are going to go with our chapter 5, which is about linear programming. So before we proceed with our lesson, so first thing that we need to know is how you want to identify that you are doing for linear programming, and also what is the application of linear programming in our business situation. Okay, so first thing is how you want to identify that you are doing for linear programming is whenever we are dealing with inequalities. So how you want to identify that you are dealing with the inequalities is whenever you are having the mathematical expression with these four symbols, which is if you are having less than or equal, greater than, and greater than or equal, so you know that you are having the inequalities. So after you know that expression is inequalities, so you need to know what is the usage or what is the application of linear programming in our business situation. So linear programming is used whenever we have more than one product that we are manufacturing and we are selling, and then we are having limited resources, or we also call as a constraint. So that is whenever we are using linear programming. Okay, so let us go with, so since that linear programming is more to problem solving, so let us go with straight away with the example. Okay, so the first example that we have here is solve the system of inequalities graphically and find the maximum value of p equals to negative x plus 4y. So in our syllabus, usually we always represent our product with variable. So if we have more than one product, so it means that we will have more than one variable. And in our syllabus also, we are having more than one method of linear programming, but for our syllabus, we are going to use graphical method. Okay, so let's say for the first example, we have three inequalities here, which is this one. So how we know these three expressions are inequalities is because we can see that we have the symbol of inequalities: greater than or equal, less than or equal, less than or equal. So meaning that these three expressions are inequalities. Okay, so now we want to solve for these three inequalities, and we want to find the maximum value if we have p equals to negative x plus 4y. Okay, so how we want to do this graphically? Okay, so first thing is we need to come up, since that we want to find graphically, so meaning that we need to draw the straight line for our inequalities. So we have three inequalities, meaning that we will have three straight lines. Okay, so how we want to draw the line for each of the inequality? So whenever we want to draw a straight line, we need to have at least 2 points for each of the line, so that we can connect the 2 points together and we will have a straight line. So let's say we have the three inequalities, so we go with the first one, which is y greater than or equals to x minus 2. So first thing is we want to come up with 2 points for each of the inequality. So whenever we have inequality, to come up with the points, so first thing that we need to do is we need to turn each inequality into equation, which is equation is whenever we change the symbol of inequality into equal sign. So meaning that equation for y greater than or equals to x minus 2 is y equals to x minus 2. So that is the equation for the first inequality. So when we have y equals to x minus 2, so then we can use any point of x to come up with a y value to come up with points. So let's say we have y equals to x minus 2. So let's say we want to come up with the first point. So just substitute x equals to 0. Let's say our x equals to 0. So when we substitute 0 into x, we will come up with y equals to 0 minus 2. So then we will come up with a y value which is negative 2. So when we have one value of x, one value of y, so we will come up with one point, which is the point will be 0, negative 2. So we have 1 point. So we need to have another 1 point so that we can connect the 2 points together. So let's say now we assume y equals to 0. So when y equals to 0, we substitute into y, so we will have 0 equals to x minus 2. Then we will know the x value, which is the x value will be 2. So now we have one value of y, one value of x. We can come up with 1 point, which is the point will be 2, 0. Now we have 2 points for the first inequality. Okay, so now when we have the 2 points, so that we can draw these 2 points on our coordinate system. So for you are going to draw your points and all your inequalities on a graph paper. So you will have a very straight line and you can identify the other points later. So we plot the 2 points that we have. So 0, negative 2 will be on the lower part here, which is negative 2. So you will have here, let me add here, negative 2. So you will have negative 1, negative 2. So here is negative 1, here is negative 2. Okay, now 0, negative 2 will be here. This is 0, negative 2. So make sure you plot your point, label your point. So this is 0, negative 2. Okay, and then the second point you have is 2, 0. So 2, 0 will be here. So again, plot your point, label your point, 2, 0. Okay, so once you have 2 points, so then you can use your ruler on your graph paper to connect these 2 points. So let's say I'm drawing a very nice straight line here. So I will have that straight line. So this is the line for our y greater than or equals to x minus 2. Alright. Now, since that you have inequality for this expression, meaning that you will have one side of the line that is a shaded area, which is fulfilling the inequality. So how you want to identify which side that fulfill our inequality? So since that you can see that you have a straight line here, so meaning that you will have two separate sides separated by the line, which is the first side will be here, the first side, and the second side will be here. So which side fulfills this inequality, the first side or the second side? So how to identify? So we take 1 point on any side. So let's say we want to take the point on the first side. So any point in the first side, so let's say in the first side we have the point here. So this point is 0, 4, right? So when you have 0, 4, so you substitute the value of x equals to 0 and the value of y equals to 4 into our inequality. So our inequality is y greater than or equals to x minus 2, right? So we put all the variables on the left side, so we will have y minus x greater than or equals to negative 2. So since that we have a point 0, 4 here, so we substitute the value of 0 in x and 4 in y into our inequality. So we will have here 4 minus 0 greater than or equals to negative 2. So now we can see that 4 minus 0 will be given to us is 4. So 4 greater than or equals to negative 2. So this inequality is true since that 4, the value of 4 is greater than negative 2. So when this value is true, so meaning that the first side here is true. So meaning that the first side is fulfilling the inequality for y greater than or equals to x minus 2. So meaning that our shaded area will be the first side. So this is our shaded area for the first inequality. Alright, Now we're done with the first inequality, so we go with the second inequality, which is second inequality we will have 0 less than or equals to x less than or equals to 5. So for the x value, 0 for the x is on the y-axis here, whereas x for 5 value is here, which is we will have a straight line on x equals to 5. So the x area that fulfilling 0 until 5 will be this shaded area. Okay, so we're done with the second second inequality. Then we go with the third inequality, which is 0 less than or equals to y less than or equals to 4. So again, y for 0 is on the x-axis, which is here, and y for 4 will be here. And then the shaded area that will be fulfilling 0 less than y less than or equals to 4 is this area. Okay, now after you have all the three inequalities shaded for their areas, so now the next step that you need to do is you need to identify where is the part that having all colors. So meaning that which part that have all shaded areas for each inequality. So if you can see that all part that have all shaded area is given to you for this area, which is you have starting from here, this one and this one, this one and this one. So now you can see that this area, which I lighted the side with a black color, so this part having all the three colors, red, orange and green, meaning that this shaded area with the black color is the area that having all colors, three inequalities. Alright, so now you know this area is having all the colors for the inequality. So the next step is you need to identify the corner points for the shaded area with the black color. So if you can see that the corner points that you have for this black shaded area, you have the first point is here, which is this point given to you with 0, 4. And then you have the second corner point, which is here. So this point given to you is 0, 0. And then you have the third point, which is here. So the third point here, the third corner point here given to you with 2, 0. And then you have the fourth corner point, which is here, which is this point given to you with 5, 3. And you have the last corner point, which is here. So this point given to you with 5, 4. Alright, so now you know that you have all these 5 corner points. So the next step is you need to put all the corner points here to identify which value that given to you the maximum p equals to negative x plus 4y. So you have 5 corner points, so you list down all the 5 corner points. So you have the first one is 0, 4. So the first point is 0, 4. The second corner point is 0, 0. The third corner point is 2, 0. The fourth corner point is 5, 3. And the last one is 5, 4. So you have here 5, 3. And the last one 5, 4. Alright. So you have all the corner points. You know that for points, the first value is x, the second value is y. So you substitute for each of the corner point into your p value. So the first point 0, 4. So for your p, you have 0, negative, and the x is 0. So you substitute with 0, and then you have plus 4, and then your y is 4. So for this one, you will have 16. So you can calculate for the value. So you will have 16. And then for the second corner point, 0, 0. So again, your p equals to negative 0 plus 4, and your y is 0. So you will have here 0. And then for the third corner point, so the same thing, calculate for your p. So you substitute x with 2, so you will have negative 2 plus 4, and your y is 0. So you will have here negative 2. And then for the fourth corner point, you have 5, 3. So the same thing, substitute into your x and your y. So you will have here negative 5 plus 4 multiplied with 3. So you will have here negative 5 plus 12, you will have positive 7. And then the last one, you have p equals to negative 5 plus 4 multiplied with 4. So you will have here negative 5 plus 16, you will have positive 11. So now you have all these 5 value of p. So since that your original question asking you to find the maximum value of p, so maximum means that the highest value of p. So highest value of p is 16. So now you know to come up with a maximum value of p, your corner point should be 0, 4. So your final answer will be 0.04 gives maximum value of p. So that is our answer for our linear programming. Alright, so that is basically how you want to do the linear programming using graphical method. Okay, so now let us go with the second example so that you can understand better how to do for linear programming using graphical method. So let's say we have the second example here. If p equals to 2x plus 5, find the maximum value of p subject to given constraint. So now you know we are dealing with the constraint, so meaning that we will have inequality expression, which is inequality, meaning that we are dealing with these symbols, the 4 symbols that I mentioned earlier. So we can see that we have greater than or equal and less than or equal. So we know that our expression is inequality. Okay, now the same thing, we want to know the maximum value of p using constraint, which is we have inequality. The same thing using linear programming for graphical method. So what we need to do is we have 3 inequalities here. So for each of the inequality, we need to draw the line for our inequality. So whenever we want to draw a line, meaning that we need to have 2 points so that we can connect the 2 points, then we will come up with a line. So for our first inequality, we have here 5x plus y greater than or equals to 20. So when we have inequality, we want to come up with a point. So first thing that we need to do, we need to change inequality into equation, which is equation we will have 5x plus y equals to 20. So now we have in form of the equation, then we can come up with points, which is, let's say the x is equals to 0. So we substitute in x for 0, so we will come up with the value of y, which is y is 20. So now we have one value of x, one value of y. Now we can come up with a point, which is our point will be 0, 20. Then we need to have another 1 point. So let's say y equals to 0. So when y equals to 0, so we substitute 0 into y, so we will have 5x plus 0 equals to 20. Then we can come up with x value, which is x value will be 4. So then we know that we have one value of y, one value of x. We can come up with another one point, which is 4, 0. Okay, so that is for the first point. First inequality. So first inequality, we can plot the points now. So 0, 20 will be here. And then 4, 0 will be here. Then we draw a straight line. So you will have a very nice straight line when you draw it on a graph paper. I will try to make a very nice line as I could. So let us consider this is a very nice straight line. Okay, now we want to identify which side for this inequality that fulfill 5x plus y greater than or equals to 20. So just take any point on which side. So let's say we take the point on this side. So let's say we want to take the point for here. So this point given to us is 8, 0. So 8, 0 we substitute into our inequality. Is it fulfill greater than or equals to 20? So 8, 0, the x is 8, the y is 0, meaning that we substitute in x is 8, in y is 0, so meaning that 5 multiply 8 plus 0, we will have 40. So 40 is greater than 20, so meaning that the point 80 just now is fulfilling the inequality. When it is fulfill the inequality, meaning that this side will be our shaded area. Alright, that is the first inequality. Let us go with the second inequality, which is we have x plus y less than or equals to 12. So again, the same thing, we want to come up with the 2 points so that we can draw the line for this inequality. So the same thing, we need to change this in terms of equation. So we will have x plus y equals to 12. So now we have equation. So to come up with a point, so we need to assume x value equals to 0. So when our x equals to 0, so we will have y value equals to 12. So now we have one value of x, one value of y, so we can come up with one point, which is 0, 12. Then the second point, let's assume the y equals to 0. So when y equals to 0, so we will have the x value, which is equals to 12. So the same thing, we have one value of y, one value of x, so we can come up with one other point, which is we have here 12, 0. So we have 2 points, so the same thing, plot the point, then we draw the line. So 0, 12 will be here. So please remember to label your point. I'm not labeling my point here, but for you need to label your point. And the second point is 12, 0. So 12, 0 will be here. So now you have 2 points, so you connect the points together for a straight line. So use your ruler on your graph paper. So you will have this straight line. Alright, now since you have a straight line, so you need to know which area to shade so that it fulfills your inequality x plus y less than or equals to 12. So let's say you just take one point on any side. So let's say you want to take this point. So this point here is 0, 10. So meaning that you substitute 0 into x and 10 into y. So you will have 0 plus 10, which is you will have 10. And 10 is less than 12. So meaning that this point here fulfill the inequality, meaning that this one will be a shaded area. Alright, so when we shade the area, so we're done with the second inequality. And last one, the third inequality. So we have x plus 3y greater than or equals to 18. So the same thing, we want to find the 2 points so that we can draw the line. So change our inequality in forms of equation, which is we will have x plus 3y equals to 18. Okay. Now we assume that our x value equals to 0. So we substitute into our equation. So we will have 0 plus 3y equals to 18. So then we can have our y value, which is y value is 6. So we have one value of x, one value of y. We have 1 point, which is 0, 6. So we want to have another 1 point. So let us assume y equals to 0. So the same thing, we substitute 0 into y, which is we will have x plus 3 multiplied 0 equals to 18. So we will have our x value, which is equals to 18. So now we have one value of y, one value of x. We can come up with 1 point, which is 18, 0. So now we have 2 points. So the same thing, plot our point so that we can draw the straight line. So 0, 6 will be here. And then 18, 0 will be here. So the same thing, connect the 2 points with a straight line. Okay, let's say this one is a very nice straight line. So the same thing, we want to have the shaded area. Just take any any point on any side to know whether that side fulfilling the inequality or not. Let's say we are taking 0, 2, this point here. So this point will be on the lower side of the line. So we want to identify whether which side is the correct one, fulfilling the third inequality. So the point that we have here is 0, 2. So 0 is x, 2 is y. So we substitute into our inequality. So x is 0, 2 is y. So x, 0 plus 3 multiplied 2 is 6. So 6 is not greater than 18, meaning that the lower side of our red line is not correct, it's not true. So meaning that the shaded area will be upper side of the orange line. Alright. Now, after we shaded all the areas for the 3 inequalities, so now we need to find which part or which area that having all the 3 colors. So now if you can see that this area, which is I shade in black color, having all the 3 colors, which is from here until here, here, then you have here. Alright, so this is the shaded area that fulfilling all the 3 inequalities, that having all the 3 colors. So now after you shade the area that having all the 3 inequalities color, so what you need to do next is you need to identify its corner point. So you know that the corner point is given to you. The first corner point is here, which is the point given to you is 2, 10. So don't worry, you will know the corner points easier when you draw this on graph paper. Alright, and then the second corner point given to you is here, which is the point is 3, 5. And then you have the last corner point, which is here, which is the point is 9, 3. So now you have all the 3 corner points. So to identify the maximum value of P, so the same thing that you need to do is you need to list down all the corner points that you have. So first corner point that you have is 2, 10. So the first corner point is 2, 10. Second corner point that you have is 3, 5, and last one is 9, 3. 3, 5, last one is 9, 3. Okay, so you have extra row here, so I will just erase the extra row. Since you only have 3 corner points. Alright. Okay, so we have these 3 corner points, so we need to identify the maximum value of P. So the same thing, our P is equal to 2x plus y, so we substitute our corner points into x value and y value. So our first corner point 2, 10, so our P is going to be 2x is 2 plus 10. So you will have here 14. The second corner point is 3, 5, so our P will be 2 multiply 3 plus 5, so you will have here 6 plus 5 is 11, and our last corner point 9, 3 will be P equals to 2 multiply 9 plus 3, which is 2 multiply 9 is 18, 18 plus 3 will be 21. So you have here, since that you want to come up with the maximum value of P, so maximum will be the highest value. If you want to come up with the minimum value of P or minimize value of P, so you need to look at the value which is the lowest value. So since that you want to have maximum of P, the point which is give you the highest value is 21, which is the point is 9, 3. So this is our final answer. Alright, so that is basically how you want to do for graphical method for linear programming using the inequalities or constraint. So let us go with the so now that is how you want to do the graphical method. But now let's say we want to do the linear programming but using the real situation to the problems for the problem solving. So how you want to do for problem solving for the real situation? So first step that you need to do is, first thing that you need to do is you need to identify the variable and how many variables that you have. So usually for the variable, we usually represent variable for the products that we manufacture and we sell. So usually for our syllabus, we only use for 2 products, meaning that we will have 2 variables x and y. The second step that we need to do is we need to identify the limitation and we need to write the inequalities. So the limitation here should be whatever limits that we have to produce and to sell our products. So for example, the raw materials, the labor, the hours, the skills, that is our limitation, or the limited resources, or we call as a constraint. So this is going to be our inequalities. And in each our inequalities, we need to include our variable. Okay. And then for the third step, we need to find the points for each inequalities to draw the line, and we need to shape the area. So like the same thing that we did just now. For us to find the points for each inequality, we need to change inequality into the equation form, and then we assume x equals to 0 to come up with the y value, and then we assume y equals to 0 to come up with the x value, and then we have 2 points, and then we connect the 2 points together with a straight line. And then after we connect the 2 points with a straight line, so we need to determine, for the first step, we need to determine the area that fulfill the inequality, which is we need to choose any point in any area, and then we substitute into our inequalities. Is it fulfill our inequalities or not? So after we have all the shaded area for all the inequalities that we have, so we need to determine the area that fulfill all the shaded area for all inequalities, which is the one that we did just now with the black color. So let's say we call that black color as a part. So for the fifth step, after we identify the part, so we need to identify the corner points for the part. And then after we identify the corner points, so we need to identify the maximum or minimum expression. And then we determine which corner point to solve the maximum or minimum problem. So that is basically for the graphical method for the real problem, real situation. So let's say for the real situation, we have this one example. Okay, so the example here says that nuts have 75 pounds of cashews and 120 pounds of peanuts. These are to be mixed in 1 pound packages as follows. So a low-grade mixture that contains 4 ounces of cashews and 12 ounces of peanuts, and a high-grade mixture that contains 8 ounces of cashews and 8 ounces of peanuts. The profit is 25 cents on each package of the low-grade mixture and 45 cents on each package of the high-grade mixture. So the first thing that we need to do is, if we refer to our LP problem solving here, first thing that we need to do, identify variables and how many variables that we have. So variable is in terms of the product that we make and we sell. So if we can see here how we want to identify our product, so if we can see that here it mentioned the profit is 25 cents on each package of low grade and 45 cents on each package of the high grade mixture. So now we can identify that product that we are selling is the low grade mixture and the high grade mixture. So now we know when we have two products here, so we represent each of the product with one variable. So let's say the low grade is X, the high grade will be Y. So now we identify our variable. So we have X and Y. Okay. So the second step says that we need to identify the limitation and write the inequalities. So now it says that we need to identify the limitation. So limitation is in terms of the raw materials or the labor or the skills that our employee have. So if we can see that here, our product is in terms of the package or the mixture, which is from cashew and also peanuts. So meaning that what limitation that we have here is the cashews and the peanuts. Okay, alright. So now we know we have the limitation, which is we have cashews and we have peanuts, which is in all of our products we need to include the cashew and peanuts. So to come up with our inequalities, so let me go through for, we have the question here. So first question, use X to denote the number of packages of the low grade mixture, use Y. So just now we already identified our low grade is X, our high grade is Y. And write a system of linear inequalities. So we need to write the inequalities, which is for our constraint, limited resources, to describe the possible number of each kind of package. B, graph the system and list its corner points. So we are going to do that. And how many packages of each type of mixture should be prepared to maximize the profit. Okay, now we go with the first one for A. So we go for the A. So we know that our X and our Y is the variable which is for our product. So we know X is for low grade, Y is our high grade. Okay, so once we know we have X and Y, so we need to go with our limitation. So limitation is in terms of the raw materials or whatever that we have. So we know that limitation here that we have is the cashew and the peanuts. And we need to include cashews and peanut in each of our product. So we have 75 pounds of cashews, meaning that we can only use up to 75 pounds of cashews for each of the product only. We cannot use up to 85 pounds because we don't have 85, we only have 75 pounds. And for the peanuts, we only have 120 pounds. So the same thing, that is our limitation. We cannot use until 200 pounds because we only have 120 pounds available for the peanuts. Alright. And then it says that our mixture is in 1 pound. And it says that for each of the type, low grade, we have 4 ounces of cashews and 12 ounces of peanuts. So if you notice that here, for our limitation is in terms of the units of pounds, but whatever we use in our mixture is in units of ounces. So you need to make sure that their units is the same unit. Then you can come up with your inequalities. So you need to know how many ounces is 1 pound. So 1 pound is equals to 16 ounces. So meaning that 75 pounds of cashews, 75 multiplied with 16, so we have 1200 ounce of cashews, and 120 pounds of peanuts, 120 multiplied with 16, so we have 1920 ounce of peanuts. Then we can make our inequalities. Alright. Okay, now we go with our inequalities. So it says that for the low grade and for the high grade, if you want to use the cashews, that is our first limitation. Cashews. So cashews, 4 ounces of cashews in low grade and 8 ounces of cashews in high grade. That is for the cashews. So now we can come up with our first limitation, which is we have here 4 ounces of cashews in low grade and 8 ounces of peanuts in our high grade, and for the 8 ounces of cashews in high grade, and for the cashews, the available cashews is only 200 ounce. Because we change everything in terms of ounce. Okay, and then for the peanuts, 12 ounce of peanuts in low grade and 8 ounce of peanut in high grades. 12 and 8, so meaning that we can come up with the second limitation, which is for peanut, which is we have 12 ounces of peanuts for low grade and 8 ounces of peanuts in high grade, and available peanuts is only we can use up to 1920 ounce. So that is the second limitation. So the first one is for cashew and the second one is for peanut limitation. Alright. So this is our inequality, but again, we know that our X and our Y is our product, right? So when we are producing and selling product, meaning that we cannot sell or produce the negative value of product. So meaning that we will come up with the third and fifth inequality, which is for our low grade, it should be 0 or higher, which is we are selling 0 or 1 or 2 or 3 or 4 or so on. For low grade, we cannot have selling -1 low mixture because that is our product. -1 means that we are not producing and we are not selling. Negative. So we are not producing, we are not selling. So the same thing the same thing goes with Y, which is a high grade mixture. So we cannot have the negative value of it because that is our product. So we will have the fourth inequality, which is Y also should be greater than or equals to 0. So that is our 4 inequalities. So now we have 4 inequalities. So we need to identify the corner points. So to identify the corner points, we need to have the straight lines for each of the inequality. So now we are going to go to draw our inequality. So we have the first one, which is, okay, so if we can see that for the first and the second inequality, we are having a very big value, which is we have here 1200. So if we have equation or we have inequality, we can simplify the value of each side, which is we divide with 4. So when we divide with 4, so our first inequality will come up with x plus 2y less than or equals to 300. So this is a smaller value, so we cannot simplify anymore, so we are going to use this inequality later in our graph. And for the second inequality, so the same thing, we need to simplify since that we have a very big value, 1920. So we 1920 divided with 8. So we simplify, we divide with 4. So the same thing, we divide with 4. So when divide with 4, we will have here 3x plus 2y less than or equals to 1920 divided with 4. We will have 480. So we are going to use this one. So it is smaller, and then we cannot simplify anymore. Okay, so then we can calculate for our point. So the first one, x plus 2y less than or equals to 300. So the first one we have x plus 3y. Is it 3 or 2? I think it's 2. 2y less than or equals to 300. Okay, so the same thing, we have inequality, so we want to come up with a point, so we need to change them in terms of equation, which is we will have here x plus 2y equals to 300. So then we assume x equals to 0. So when we have x equals to 0, y will be 150. So we have 1 point. So we have here 0, 150. And then the second point, y equals to 0. When y equals to 0, x will be 300. So we have 300, 0, second point. And then we have the second equation, 3x plus 2y less than 480. Second equation is, second inequality is, what did it say just now? 3x to y. 3x plus 2y less than or equals to 480. So the same thing, change it in terms of equation. So you will have for x equals to 0. So you will have y equals to 240. When your point here is 0, 240. And then for y equals to 0, so you will have x equals to 160. So you have another 1 point, 160 with 0. Alright. Okay, now we can start drawing on the graph paper. So I don't have graph paper here. So our highest value for x is 300. Our highest value for y is 240. So should be something like all on the positive side. Okay, since I have very small space here, so I'm going to use a gap of 50, 50, 50 for my scale, which is for x, I have highest one is 300. So I will have here 50, 100, 150, 200, 250 and 300. So this is x. 50, 100, 150, 200, 250 and 300. And for the y, the highest value is 240. 240, maybe I can use the gap of the same thing, 50, 50, 50. So I'm going to use 50, 100, 150, 200, 250 and 300. So this is a Y. So 50, 100, 150, 200, 250, 300. Okay, now I can plot my point. So for the first equation, inequalities, so I have 0, 150. So 0, 150 will be here. Make sure to label your point. And then the second point is 300 and 0. 300 and 0 will be here. Okay, so you have 2 points, so you connect them together. So you will have a straight line. Oh, it's not a straight line. Alright, so I have a nicer straight line. So now I need to identify which side fulfill my inequality. So let's say I want to take this point. This one is on the upper side of the blue line. So I substitute 0, 300 in my inequality. So x is 0 and y is 300. So 2 multiply 300 is 600. So 600 is not less than 300, meaning that the upper side is not fulfilling the inequality. If it's the upper side is not fulfilling, meaning that the lower side will fulfill the inequality. So this is our shaded area for the first inequality. Okay, and then for the second inequality, we have 2 points, 0, 240, 0, 240 might be around here, and 160, 0, 160, 0 might be around here. Okay, so the same thing, you connect the 2 points, so you will have, oh, it's not touching. Okay. So you have this straight line. So the same thing, we need to identify which side fulfill the inequality. Let's say I want to take the same point, 0, 300, which is here. So now I want to know whether the right side of the line, green line, is it fulfill the inequality or not, which is the point is 0, 300. So 0, 300, I substitute into the second equation. So the x is 0, the y is 200. So 3 multiplied 0 is 0, 2 multiplied 300 is 600. So 600 is not less than 480. It's bigger. So meaning that the right side of the green line is not fulfilling the inequality. Meaning that the left side of the green line will be the one who's fulfilling the inequality. Okay, that is for the second inequality. If you still remember, we have another 2 inequality, which is x greater than or equals to 0 and y greater than or equals to 0. So we also need to include this in our graph. So for the third inequality, x greater than or equals to 0, meaning that your x equals to 0 is on the y-axis. So greater than will be on the right side. So this is going to be our shaded area for x greater than or equals to 0. And the last inequality we have is y greater than or equals to 0. So y0 will be on the x-axis. So greater than will be upper side of red line. I know that everything gets messy. Okay, so now after you shaded all the inequalities lines, so you need to identify which part that having all the 4 colors. So the part that having all the 4 colors is actually here. So you can see that this is the area or the part that having all the 4 colors that fulfill all the 4 inequalities. Okay, so after you identify the part, which is the black shaded area, so you need to identify the corner points, all the corner points for the black area. So if you can see that you have the first corner point is here, which is the first corner point here is 0, 1, 50. And then you have the second corner point, which is here, which is this one given to you 0, 0. Okay, and then you have the third corner point, which is here. The third corner point here given to you with 160, 0. And then you have the last corner point, which is here. Which is the point given to you here is 90, 105. Okay, now you have all the corner points, so then you need to list all them down. So now what we have here is the line to identify the P. So we have 4 corner points. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4. So I'm going to erase the extra here. Okay, so this is for the corner points. And this is for the P. Okay, now for our P, so we need to identify what maximize or minimize that we want for our P. So in the questions, it says that how many packages of each type of mixture should be prepared to maximize the profit. So we know now we want to know to maximize the profit, right? So how we want to do the value of profit for each of the product. So it says that the profit for low grade is 25 cents from here, and for the high grade is 45 cents. So meaning that in order for us to maximize our profit, so we need to have 0.25 cents for each of the low grade mixture, and plus with 45 cents for the profit for the high grade mixture. That will be maximize our profit. So now we list down all our 4 corner points, which is the first corner point we have 0, 150, 0, 150. The second point we have 0, 0. The third corner point we have is 160 with 0, 160 with 0. And then the last corner point is 90, 105. 90, 105. So then we have all the corner points, so we substitute into our x and y. So for the first point, 0, 150. So we have here 0.25 multiplied with x equals to 0, plus with 0.45 multiplied with 150. So we calculate for the value, we will come up with 0.45 multiplied with 150, we will have 67.5. And since that this value is for our profit, so our profit will be $67.50. For the second corner point, which is 0, 0, so obviously we will have here 0.25 multiply 0 plus 0.45 multiply 0, so we will have 0 profit. So obviously we are not going to choose this corner point. The third corner point we have 160 with 0, so we have 0.25 multiply with 160 plus 0.45 multiply 0. So we will have here 0.25 multiply 160, we will have $40. for our profit. And then the last corner point here we have is P multiply 0.25 multiply 90 plus 0.45 multiply with 105. So we calculate for the value. So we have here 69.75, meaning that we have $69.75. So now, since that we want to maximize our profit, so meaning that we need to look at the value of P, which is the highest value. So highest value that we have here is the last corner point, which is 69.75 cents. So meaning that to maximize profit, we know that our X is low grade and our Y is high grade. So to maximize profit, we need to sell 90 low grade and 105 high grade with maximum profit of $69.75. So we solve the problem of nuts, cashew and peanuts. Okay, so basically that is our linear programming. So for yours, everything that you need to do is you need to draw on the graph paper, then you need to draw the line, so that will be easier for you to identify the corner points. Alright, so thank you for the linear programming. See you for the chapter 6, which is forecasting.